Hello, I'm Adrian Fulczyk and I'm the owner of Polish website LeanMenedżer.pl. Waste is one of the most dangerous opponents of any enterprise, focuses on creating value for the customer. Who would agree to do the job that no one would like to pay? Nobody. That's why companies are spending more and more time eliminating 7 types of waste. What exactly is it? You'll find out in the moment. The subject of today's training is 7 types of waste, MUDA. At first, I'll introduce you to the definition of waste, then we'll analyze its most common types with general example, the potential causes of the various types of waste, and the suggested remedies. Before we start, I have a question. How much money you are spending every day in completely unplanned and unnecessary way? Probably you think not so much. But just think about the costly downtimes and breakdowns that could be prevented by systematic reviews, unsuccessful investments after, for example, Kaizen workshops, overtimes, working Saturdays, unnecessary shopping, or rape organized dedicated express transport. Okay, so now the another question. For which of these bad investments your customer would like to pay? I'll tell you. Unfortunately, for no one. Now, think about the fact that these expenses are just a small percentage of what we are losing daily in our processes and flows. For what reason? Because of the waste. Now, let's imagine that this angry man on the left side is our customer. I don't agree to raise the final price. Dear customer, raising the final price is necessary due to the additional costs we incurred during your order realization. I hope you are aware of the holidays period. The unplanned absenteeism of our employees has triggered the need of extra overtimes and 4 working Saturdays, which unfortunately we didn't anticipate, and also this weekly press breakdown. For me, it's not added value. I won't pay for that. Mr. XYZ, without raising the final price of this order, will have trouble with the financial liquidity in the company. This is necessary. This is not what we agreed on. That's your problem. So, what is the waste? Generally, all that is not added value for the customer. Precisely, we have 3 types of activities. The value-adding activities, activities that do not add any value but are enforced by law or internal control, and the activities that do not add any value and that are waste. So that's the perspective for any improvements. And here we go to the core of this training, the 7 types of waste. The first one, overproduction. About the overproduction waste, we can say when we produce more than we currently need or when we execute our production schedule too fast. The example, the production order for 100 pieces of the finished goods goes to the first operation in the process. Process A produces subassembly of these 100 pieces and transfers them to operations B. After future processing, the same production batch goes to operation C when the final assembly takes place. Then 10 pieces from the produced batch go as the customer order and the remaining 90 pieces are transferred to the finished goods warehouse. Why 100 pieces batch instead of expected 10 pieces? Do you see overproduction? The major causes of overproduction include large production batches, production under the forecast, and not confirmed customers' orders, and long changeover times. How we can fix it? For example, using one-piece flow, make-to-order strategy, and reduce changeovers time by, for example, SMET. The next waste is waiting. Waiting waste is considered as the one of the least invasive types of MUDA, which doesn't mean it is not important. It mainly concerns inactivity of employees, parts, materials, substitutes, tools, and the machines. Let's talk about the example. The complex and multi-stage production process that has several joint operations. In this case, the worker from the first operation asks if he should allow another production batch. Due to the different routing of operation 5, depending on the stream, the top process could already start processing the next batch, while the process in the bottom is still executing the previous one. Whom should you listen to at this moment? And if the loud cry of the lower process does not cause a wasteful waiting for the 4 preceding operations? Main reasons: poor information flow between processes, no standardization, bad instructions and trainings, bad production balance, long changeovers, badly designed processes, and no visual signals. So how to fix it? For example, by introducing work standardization, including workstation standards, leveling production by Heijunka, designing process-oriented add-on system, using SMAT and value stream mapping, focusing on Kaizen explosions. The next waste is unnecessary motion. Unnecessary motion means the excessive number of people and machines movements and is mainly caused by layout and workplace organization. The example: in Poland, we've got the saying, who doesn't have in mind must have strong legs. In this example, operator need to visit the toolbox area and component warehouse many times during his shift away, at least several dozen steps away from the workstation. Evidently unnecessary movements. Reasons: the lack of awareness of the impact on cycle time, badly designed workplace, nor ergonomic rules, no 5S, and sharing or difficult access to the tools. So how to fix it? For example, by implementing and maintaining 5S in your company, using shadow boards, or by production hall relayout. How much less movements this operator could do if you provide him the supermarket and all necessary tools near the workstation and feed it with well-connected water spider, milk run. Okay, so the next waste is unnecessary transportation. Unnecessary transportation involves the components, subassemblies, finished goods, or parts movements with excessive frequency. The example: we've got 3 areas: the warehouse, the production, and the outbound. Imagine that water spider receiving information about the need to replenish Kanban very often. He gets on the milk train, takes one empty box from the supermarket, goes to the warehouse, fills the box, and goes back to production. dozens of times a day. Moreover, multiple travels of the outbound worker who looks back at the production line wondering if the finished goods are ready to take and for the rest of them arrive a little bit later, or if he can return in a few hours later. Unnecessary transportation? Okay, so what the reasons? Wrong designed layout, bad water spider road, or wrongly counted Kanban points, the specification of production batches on finished good size or lot sizes, expedites and express shipments outside the QE, or no visual signals for the internal supplier or internal customers of the process. How to fix it? For example, by counting the Kanban points for every single reference on the production supermarket, by verifying stops and exact hours of receipt and delivery on the water spider route, by production queuing, and by develop add-on system. Okay, so the next waste is unnecessary over-processing. Unnecessary over-processing means the unnecessary steps in components over-processing or the activities which do not add value to the customer. The good example is the elimination of the additional holes and screws and related operations, control cabinets or electrical cabinets. In this example, the number of holes and screws has been reduced by half without reducing the customer value and retaining the expected product specifications. Just think about the saved minutes devoted to drilling the holes and screwing up unnecessary screws, and of course, the cost of these materials. And now please multiply it several dozen cabinets per month. Common causes of unnecessary processing. We don't understand our customer needs and expectations. We don't have a fixed standard or specification for manufactured finished goods. We agree to technical modification without taking into account the additional processes involved. And finally, we don't understand the functionality of the finished product. So how to remedy unnecessary overprocessing? Before running any project, perform the design review with all the functions involved. Ensure appropriate communication with the customer. Keep the consistency of the documentation you prepared with the customer's expectations. And finally, complete the product training for the employees involved in the production process. The next waste, too big stocks. Too big stocks means too large number of components on the warehouse and in process, or too large number of finished goods on which we don't have customer orders yet. The example, imagine the situation where operation A produced 20 pieces of the product on interoperable buffer, and then these 20 pieces are taken by operation B. This operation processes these 20 pieces and supplies them to another interoperable buffer. And, unfortunately, it appears that operation C has failed. What do we do? In this example, operation A produces another 20 pieces of the item and push them to operation B to finally end in the buffer on create an oversupply. What are the main causes? Lack of continuity in production flow, large batch production, long changeovers, bad supplier performance, suppressing the creation of excessive safety stocks, bottlenecks in the process, and push system. So how to fix it? For example, by implementing one-piece flow, the pull system using the SMET, apply periodic audits to external suppliers, and schedule bottleneck production. The last waste is error fixing. Error fixing means to define processes for defect management in process and it concerns the flow of information, documentation, delivery, and finished goods. Let's analyze the example. The supplier delivers a batch of components on inbound area. Inbound area passes these components to the warehouse and then they go from the warehouse into production line. And here it turns out that some of these components have a small defect. As we care about the time, lead time from the supplier is long, so instead of external claim, we decide to rework them internally. Fixing errors, vendor errors. So what are the main causes? No rules and standards in case of defects. No instructions and trainings. Bad supplier performance and low supplier quality. No understanding of customer expectations and requirements. And bad workstation equipment. So how to fix it? First of all, by verifying the components on entry, by using KPIs, so key performance indicators, for vendors' performance analysis, and finally, by standardizing defects management processes. I hope that these types of waste will inspire you to take a deep look at the processes that occur in your company, detailed verification and elimination. If you have any additional questions or suggestions regarding this training, please email me or leave me the message, for example, on Facebook. I'd also be grateful for your recommendation on my fan page under the link. Thank you very much for your attention.